Good morning, happy Thursday morning. Welcome back to TI22, the reboot of the TI22 YouTube channel in 2025. And I thought I'd kick it off with a video you guys have been waiting for, and I keep getting messages about. Tell us about the RS4, the cheapest RS4. Well, don't know if it's cheapest, maybe it's the cheapest running with a decent history estate, because that does change the value quite a bit of these. So maybe it's that car. But anyway, for those of you that don't know, this is my RS4 that I bought last April from a certain auction website in the UK that's not eBay, for 9,100 plus fees. The fees were about 600 quid, I think. So by the time I've got it, my pal, Mr. Chris Harris, came with me to pick it up in an RS4, weirdly as well. So yeah, by the time I got it home, it probably owed me just under 10K, but still a cheap RS4. If you look about on the market, one that isn't all the spec like this, with the non-wingbacks, with 120 odd thousand miles on it, but a reasonable history and some of the big jobs done, they go for 13, 14. So yeah, I got a bit of a deal, but it was also a bit of a gamble. So in this video, I want to just tell you really about how my first, 8 months of ownership have been, what I've done, what I've found. Is it a gamble? Is it not? What's an RS4 like? What is a B7 RS4 like to drive? So yeah, that's what I want to get into in this video, really. So first things first, I suppose. Yeah, the auction finished, went and picked it up, and I've never owned a B7 before. Been in a few, not just RS4, but any B7. But I've always liked the shape. A little about me as a car owner. So my epiphany as a near 50-year-old car enthusiast last year was that I really love a fast four-wheel drive estate, and I need one in my life always. As you know, if you're a long-time watcher of the channel or visitor, you'll know I built a 500 horsepower Subaru Forester. I also have had a twin-scroll Subaru Legacy estate. I've had a few four-wheel drive estate cars. And I'd sort of wanted to go the factory route now, because I'm a bit done with modifying stuff and all the problems that brings. Well, heavily modifying stuff. So I was looking at E63s, these RS4s, and it's a difficult journey. And I'm very lucky in doing what I do here at TI22. We get lots of new cars in, and I get to see lots and lots of new things. A nice man even lent me a new M3 Touring for a week last year, and that really cemented a lot of this stuff for me. I find I'm getting old and grumpy these days. I don't really want some modes in a car. I'm still in love with a manual, even if I have to sit in traffic. I prefer a manual, and I like a good set of dials. I always hesitated on an E63 or a C63 because of the gearboxes. They weren't for me. Not to say they're not for you, but they weren't really for me. And this size car is the right one. I did also run a Volvo V50 T5, which I tweaked up. That got to about 320 horsepower, limited slip diff, all sorts of stuff. That was a great daily. So yeah, this size is what I wanted. So I was always looking at these, but they were sort of 17, 18 grand for the one I thought I wanted, which was a sub 100,000 mile car with a few of the jobs done. Yeah, that was the car I thought I wanted. And they were sort of 17, 18 grand, which is a lot of money, more money than I had to spend. And I thought, do you know what? Yeah, I just could never quite get there. But anyway, kept watching them, kept looking at them. This one was for sale. It wasn't getting bid on. Did a bit of homework, and it seemed like it was an all right car. So we took the plunge. So Yeah, just looking at my little set of notes here. So that's sort of why I settled on an RS4 in the end. You know, what a thing. Great going and picking it up. The first time I really drove it was on the way home, and instantly when you get in that B7 cabin, this is Audi at its absolute peak, in my opinion. The cabin is perfect. Everything is beautiful. The little gear lever is nicely machined. The flat bottom Gallardo from a Gallardo steering wheel. Just lovely. All of it is absolutely beautiful, really. So what does 9 grand buy you in the RS4 world? Well, she was, when I got her home and I gave her a little wash, there were obviously a few little bits. So it'd been a London car, which normally, in my experience, means dents down the side. Normally, if we get a car here that someone's bought from London, dented down the sides, lots of little scratches and nicks, car parts, dents, that sort of stuff. This car didn't have any of those. Does have a lot of the classic RS4. So these are an aluminium front end. You get some aluminium corroding in the back of the wings, little bits of corrosion. It's got some of that. It's got some of that at the front of the bonnet. The wheels have had some repairs, as you'd expect. The biggest one is I had a big smart repair on this wing. So cosmetically not amazing on that wing, some little bubbles and some reactions and stuff. So that needs painting. But I was aware of that. So when I bought it, I thought, do you know what? I'm not going to do any of the crazy stuff. I'm just going to run it and see what pops up. As is often the case on these auction sites, the history isn't always fully explained. This had a massive history file with it. So a bit of a buyer's tip if you're thinking about an RS4, and I know a lot of you probably are. I think a lot of you are probably a little bit interested in these because they're on your radar, because I think they're a bargain. All the contemporaries, so E46 M3, C60, you know, they're a lot of car for the money. And where else can you get that beautifully naturally aspirated engine in this world of turbos and double clutch gearboxes? Manual box, normally aspirated V8 is a wonderful recipe. So there are a few weak points on these which generally reflect the price on them. The suspension from factory is what they call the DRC suspension, so it's a linked suspension system which fails over time. I think you can still get them or somebody repairs them. Most people just put a decent set of coilovers on, which is the big job that has been done on this. So this has KW V3s, which are the sort of up there with the very good suspension on this. And I have to say they're brilliant in my experience. The other big jobs are clutch, front arms, and of course the carbon clean / remap thing, because they're a direct injection engine, so they do carbon up, so they do need a carbon clean. There is a carbon clean in the history for this car, done quite a while ago. The front arms were done. Brake discs is another big one. They are expensive. They're fully floating and they're big 6-spot calipers. So I think they're about £1,000 an end to get done. These have been done at some point. There is a bit of brake judder, so it probably needs doing again. So, I mean, what have I done? What have I done with this? So I bought it on 124,000, and I have honestly just driven it since, really. I have dailied it. I did a few laps of Castle Combe. I got invited to a day there. Didn't want to wreck it and spend all day in it, but I sort of wanted to feel it out on track on its 2017 Michelin PS4s, which probably wasn't the nicest thing to do to them, but gave me a good feel for it. I've dailied it, and I've just finished 800 miles over Christmas of taking the family all over the country, visiting family. So my wife, my 7-year-old, my dog, my Red Fox Lab, all the Christmas presents. We had a chainsaw, don't ask, that's a different YouTube channel, and a few other bits. So she was loaded right up. 400 miles round trip, and then we went to go and see some friends in Cornwall. And it was the perfect car enthusiast's car. You can put the family in it, whack the heated seats on. The heated seats, a dial for heated seats is amazing. You can choose exactly what temperature you want that seat. It is perfect. Why don't car manufacturers do dials for heated seats anymore? And then when you get there, so in North Wales and in Cornwall, car's empty, you can get up early, go for a bit of a drive, you get that lovely V8 soundtrack. And I think that moves me really on to, so I suppose to finish that end of this video, not the end, to finish that portion of this video, really it's needed nothing in those 4,000 miles, apart from a little bit of oil. She likes to use a little bit of oil, but that's to be expected, I think. She's heading towards a service now, but really I didn't do anything. Probably before I took it on track, I should have done a brake fluid change, because the pedal got quite soft after a few laps, which you'd expect in a 1,700 kilo, 420 horsepower car. But really, one of the headlines really is the cheap RS4 is a real thing. 4,000 miles in, I've done nothing to it. The only other thing I found was the exhaust flaps, which should open on the S button. When you press the S button on the steering wheel, the exhaust flaps should open and you get a bit more noise. A common thing on these is that they just corrode and they stay closed. So I managed to open these, and all I've done is just put a little bead of weld on the shaft of the actuator, just so they stay open all the time, because that's probably one of the things I'll change quite soon, is that it is still very quiet, even with the valves open, which is great because it sort of gives you that stealthy, fast car but nobody knows about it thing, but still need a little bit more of that V8 noise. So that's the headline. Really, I haven't had to do anything. So a few questions. I put a little thing up on my Instagram, didn't I, about what questions have you guys got. Let me pull those up. Well, the first one I can talk about is somebody did say, how's the understeer, was the one that I do remember. And the thing that I remember the most about that was, how's the understeer? From Simon. Hello, Simon. There isn't any. Genuinely, I'm not a car reviewer, so I'm not going to go into too much about how this drives, although I've been lucky enough to drive a lot of nice things over the years. I think this is a total unicorn with Audi. It doesn't understeer. It is a very neutral handling car. You can provoke it and press the brake and lift off, and it will get a bit tail happy. You can drive it in a straight line. It grips and grips and grips. 255 3519s. Even on 7-year-old Michelin PS4s, yeah, it still grips. It's a lovely thing to drive. The steering feels really pointy. The gear shift is lovely. I really think it's up there. It is very rewarding to drive. And I've driven, my Subaru was lighter than this. It was not even in the same league as this to drive. This feels very up on its toes, very responsive. Probably one of the things, I think the steering pump is on it. There's a little bit of a whine when it's running. Steering, I think, is a bit heavier than it should be. So there's probably something there that needs some attention at some point. Let me see, where's the other questions gone? Any reliability issues from Adam? No. She's been lovely, honestly. Oh, the other thing I did, a cheap performance air filter did pop up, so I did put that in just to get a bit more noise when we're accelerating. Touch wood, she's been perfect. The only other thing, actually, and it is a common thing on these as well, they are a push button start. So they can be very lazy to start. I did run this down to Goodwood. I got invited down to Goodwood with a customer. And I panicked a bit because I got out in the morning and pressed the button and nothing happened. It's one of those technique things, you've just got to wait. So foot on the clutch, push the button, and sometimes it can take 5 or 10 seconds to start. You think it's not going to start, but it does. There is a fix. People replace the clutch switches And again, one of those things I'll probably get someone to look at some point soon. Speaking of someone soon, if you're out there and you've got one of these, let me know who you've used for maintenance. Obviously MRC are the big guys, but they're a long way from me, and I quite fancy using Ricky at RE Performance in Swindon, because he seems to know these inside out. Let's get back to the questions quickly. Couple of people offering to buy it for 10k. No, guys. So the big thing I would say is, yeah, I think I'm totally in love with this car. I can't tell you how much I am in love with it. The wingbacks are the other thing I would talk about. People think you want wingbacks. I thought I wanted wingbacks. Sorry to bash you down there, the mic. I thought I wanted wingbacks. When you actually talk to people about the wingbacks, if you want to use the car and do some miles in it, these comfort seats are streets ahead of the wingbacks. So if you want to go to car shows and have the sort of envious spec, get the wingbacks. If you want to do some miles and actually use it, then I would say there's nothing wrong with the comfort seats, and cars with the comfort seats are cheaper, without a doubt. The cheapest configuration is, of course, the cab. Saloons are a little bit cheaper. Low spec saloons, there seems to be quite a few miley or lower spec saloons about, but the estates do still command the money. About 2,000 was the number I heard. 2,000 right-hand drive estates. These were only made for 2 years, so they are actually fairly rare. Any reliability issues, other questions from Instagram? Someone's saying never sell that car. My mate Liam, you're right, Liam. I will never sell that car, I think, unless I really have to. F1, Flynn, yeah. Worth it, 100%. I don't know why these cars are so cheap. All the contemporaries, arguably cars that aren't as involving, aren't as good to drive, are way more money. And honestly, you know, it doesn't look very powerful, does it, in this day and age? But this is all the horsepower you need to have fun on the road and still be very quickly into illegal speeds. You can do some time on track with it. This is the sort of car you could drive to the Alps with the family in, and then have a week driving your heart out all around the Alps, and then you could sit, engage the cruise control, cruise all the way back. Just fantastic. Not got enough good things to say about it. So yeah, I think I'll just conclude by sort of saying my future plans, really. So now I've got a baseline for it and I know where it is. I think I will get it up to Ricky at RE Performance. I like to do a bit of work on my cars. I've got a ramp or access to a ramp, so I think I'll give it a good service with some good fluids. And then I think I'd like to get a carbon clean, get a remap. I've got some exhaust bits have just arrived, actually, some second-hand exhaust bits to give it a bit more noise. And I think that's all I want to do, I think. It's going to need some brakes at some point. It's going to need a bit of maintenance stuff. At the end of the day, isn't it amazing how things have moved on? These were 60k, give or take, back in the day. And now the contemporary is what? What is a new RS4 now? 85? Don't know. And you're getting a supercar drivetrain. It's it's an R8 engine. Yeah, I'm a believer, guys, and I'm fully aware of how understeery Audi are, and the number of times I've nearly bought an RS3 or something. They're just this dashboard, this interior. If you're my age and you like dials, the whole interior is an absolute work of art. The quality of it is lovely. The dials are like a really nicely made watch. They are beautiful. So yeah, I'll leave that to you. If you've got any questions, pop them down in the comments. Let's have a chat in the comments. I'll see you in the comments and we can have a good chat about stuff. I think should be getting a set of PS4S as well at the moment. Well, soon. And yeah, I'm just going to drive it and use it. Not every day, but that was the lovely thing about getting one with a few miles on, is it can be used, and I'm not scared about putting more miles on it. And the conclusion I came to about getting one that had less than 100,000 on it was, then you can't use it, and you get into that whole thing of, oh, I don't want to take it, I don't want to put the miles on it, I don't want to do, oh, I don't want to get, oh no, don't, oh no. I'm a firm believer in, despite what I do for a living, I'm a firm believer in getting it out there. I suppose the other thing I'd say is it didn't look quite this good when I first got it. I have done a bit of polishing on it. Obviously, I've just been and done 800 miles through December in it, so I've given it a little bit of a clean before filming this video. Does need a wheel refurb, little things like that, but yeah, has had a lot of polishing. All my cars end up being a little test bed for ceramic coating, so I've had some of the coatings we use on this. I have a drive, my commute is down a salty B road, 10 miles of it, so 20 miles a day down a sort of salty B road. So I like to test all the coatings we use so you guys get the best performing coatings that we can. So yeah, see you down in the comments, drop a little comment, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next video. What do you think about an RS4? B8, by the way, the reason I didn't want a B8, because they're similar money now, it's just that gearbox. B8 is a bigger car. B8s, by the way, also have a bit of a reputation for a few electrical sort of gremlins. The quality, I believe, the quality, if you've got B8, let me know. The quality started to drop off a little bit. I've had a few people with B8s where lots of little things, the sort of door handle switches go and the central locking plays up a bit, and little niggly things B8s seem to be getting known for. And they're a bigger car, and it's that gearbox. I really wanted a manual. You might not, but I did. That's the kind of person I am, I've realised. But thank you for watching, and we'll see you on another TI22 video soon, which will be more about polishing cars and PPFing cars, I promise. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.